Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to England once again and we're going to have a look at another collaboration beer today, and this is one that I think will be very interesting. So the home brewery in this instance is one that I've never had anything from before, but these guys seem to have been building themselves a very good reputation. I know that my English friends in the beer tubing scene have done various reviews on their different channels about this brewery and seem to have enjoyed their beers. So I'm curious to see how my first encounter with them goes. But the Away Brewery is one that has featured on the channel quite a few times before, and those guys do some very nice beers, and they are probably one of the most respected craft breweries in England at the moment actually. So this one should be a really interesting beer, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. So for this review then, for the home brewery, we are going to head to the north of England, to the Newcastle area, and we're going to have a look at my first beer from Alpha Delta Brewing. So this one is called the Tartarus. They're describing it as an oaked Imperial Stout. It comes in at 10.5% ABV, and this one is brewed in collaboration with North Brewing, who are from a little further south in Leeds in Yorkshire. So yeah, really curious to see how this one turns out. I bought this beer through Glassbanken here in Sweden when I did my little Black Friday order with the Kaleidoscopes, the Apexes, and of course the Stam Brewing one. This is the other one that I got. So yeah, I just got this one because it's a brewery that I hadn't had anything from before, and I didn't know when I was going to be get another opportunity to try something from these guys. I'm not sure how widely available they are back home in Scotland, but yeah, very well respected brewery. As I say, they've built a good reputation for themselves over the last little while, and North Beer these days are pretty established actually. So curious to see how it turns out. I know that my friend Rob over at Hopscene has reviewed this beer before, so if you want a more concise review than mine, you can go and check out his. I'll try to remember to put the link to either his channel or the specific video in the video description below, so you can check that out. But yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future from Alpha Delta Brewing. Very first time I'm trying their beers, as I said, and my other reviews that I've already done from North Brewing. They come over here quite regularly, so you'll see another review from them fairly soon, I'm sure. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to fairly regularly because we are getting quite a bit of English beer over here in Sweden at the moment, and long may that continue. Very strong beer scene in England these days. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Alpha Delta Brewing first off then, since these guys are the home brewery. So Alpha Delta Brewing are very new. They were founded in 2019 by Ross Holland, who along with his father Steve had previously founded Box Social Brewing back in 2015. So Box Social Brewing of course are still going. They're based in Newburn, which is a small village near Newcastle in the northeast of England, and apparently Ross got into brewing during a trip to Paris when he found a little brew pub, and he loved the fact that you could watch the whole brewing process while drinking the beers that had already been brewed in-house, and that just really stuck with him. So the name of this brewery that he chose first off, Box Socials, comes from the Victorian times, and essentially these were middle class people who had very few opportunities to kind of socialise and meet new people, and you know, the thing that emerged from that was that people had a solution. They hosted different events in their own homes, and that got them out there a little bit more. So that was the idea behind the name Box Social. But yeah, they basically, the whole idea apparently behind that company was to get people, and the name was to get people to connect over craft beer. But they started out with a very small 6-barrel brewing kit. But then they moved in 2019, I think it was February of 2019, they moved to a larger 15-barrel brewery, and this is when they also started up the Alpha Delta brand. So yeah, they just wanted to brew, you know, really kind of big beers on the Alpha Delta brand from what I gather. I think they are canning the beers for Box Social now, and there are a few things coming out there. So I'm not sure if you will see a sort of divergence in styles of these breweries over time, but I have reviewed one beer from the Box Social, and that was like an Imperial Brown. It was either an India Brown or an Imperial Brown Ale they were calling it, but it was a really nice beer actually. I think I reviewed that back in maybe 2017 or something like that. But yeah, as I say, they started brewing the Alpha Deltas as a kind of separate brand, if you like. in 2019 when they moved into their new brewery, but as of December 2020 when I'm filming this review for you, there's been around 35 different beers released under the Alpha Delta Brewing name. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's all I can really tell you about Alpha Delta Brewing Company for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys or Box Social, you can check out the links in the video description below. I'll try to remember to put the Box Social link down there as well, and hopefully I can review some more beers both from Box Social and from Alpha Delta at some point in the future. I've heard that the Alpha Delta IPAs are pretty good as well actually, and when I was looking at Box Social earlier, they did have a few kind of interesting beers on there as well. But yeah, let's go on to the away brewery then. As always, check out all the social media and things of these guys. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and indeed check out the website for Alpha Delta and Box Social as I said. So yeah, on to North Brewing then. So, North Brewing are based in Leeds in Yorkshire, as I told you earlier, and the company was founded by John Ginjo and Christian Townsley, who owned the North Beer Bar, and this was opened quite a while back in 1997, so quite old for a craft beer bar actually when you think about it. But today these guys operate 6 venues around the city, and apparently North Bar used to work quite closely with the likes of James Clay and Vertical Drinks, and the idea was that they wanted to promote craft beer in Yorkshire. And you know, there is quite a strong craft beer scene up there. I mean, you've got breweries like Rooster, who have been around for a very long time actually. They've been around since like the late 70s, early 80s if I remember rightly. Stuart Pickard, of course, is the man that you should be asking about that. The Ginger Ale Trail guy, I love his videos, are brilliant, I love them. So yeah, you can go and ask Stuart Pickard about that. He's your man if you're interested in Yorkshire craft beer. And I guess Rob Hobson, I don't know if he actually, I think he actually is, he works in York, so he will be living in Yorkshire I'm sure. I think it's Huddersfield that he spends most of his time in if I remember rightly. But the North Brewing Brewery, if you like, is located on Taverners Walk industrial estate, and it's got a 200 person tap room and a 15 barrel brew kit. Hopefully I can get up there with Rob at some point and do a little bit of out and about filming. That would be really fun. But the brewers at the brewery are Seb Brink, who used to work for Golden Owl, and they also have Darius Darwell as well, who used to work for the Bristol Beer Factory. Bristol, of course, a very good beer city in the southwest of England as well. But as of December 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 175 different kinds of beer. So yeah, a very, very well respected brewery actually, and one that I would highly recommend that you check out if you get the chance. I've had some really good beers from these guys over the last little while. Adam, my good friend from Mersey Beers, sent me a couple of North beers which were very, very nice recently. So yeah, definitely one of the English breweries that I would highly recommend you check out actually. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about North Brewing for the moment. As I say, a very well respected English brewery. If you want to learn more about those guys, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's leave it at that for the history section of the video, and we'll go on and actually taste this beer. So yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open up. There you can see this is a 440 milliliter can, which is a bit of a beast for an Imperial Stout, but yeah, this one I think should be really quite interesting. There you can see the Alpha Delta symbol. I guess this is probably just something to, you know, AD, like I forget what AD actually stands for. After dark, I think it's after darkness. I think it's the Latin. It's something in Latin, but it means after darkness. Never learned Latin at school. So yeah, I think these, as I say, it is quite a nice branding actually. I do like the Greek letters and stuff. You know, I worked with them a lot through physics, my physics and chemistry background actually. So yeah, it is pretty cool. But there you can see this is the North Brewing Company symbol down here, and you can see Tartarus. So the name of this beer, Tartarus, it's actually an old thing from Greek mythology. I think Tartarus was a prison. It was like a big pit basically, a big kind of pit thing. I don't know if it was supposed to be fiery like hell or whatever, but apparently it was a place where people used to go and kind of get tortured and be miserable for eternity. It was something like that. So yeah, quite cool that they've used, I guess that kind of fits in with the symbolism of the brewery name and stuff like that. They're using these Greek names, and there you can see the Greek text on that there, Tartarus. So yeah, pretty cool actually. So yeah, let's get this guy out then and we'll get on with the tasting then. 10.5% Imperial Stout. It says this one contains dextrose, lactose and vanilla extract as well. So this I think should be quite interesting. I thought this one was supposed to have cocoa nibs and things in it, but yeah, oaked Imperial Stout this one. Should be very, very nice. Let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting then. So yeah, get it out and go there. Oh, this does look pretty nice actually. Just curious to see, as I say, how this one turns out. I always enjoy introducing new breweries here on the channel, so it's always nice to do first reviews from breweries and just get an impressions. I think that's about, yeah, that's about 2/3 of the can in the glass actually, and yeah, that should be about what we need. So yeah, as you can see with this one, this has poured a lovely dark ebony rosewood colour there. It looks very, very nice. Lovely dark ebony kind of rosewood thing, which is exactly what you would expect from an Imperial Stout. You can see that the beer has poured with about a half finger of a frothy, I would say that's a kind of medium tan head. You will find heads that are a bit darker than that, of course. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there, but I mean overall it does look pretty damn nice actually. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I really like how this one. I really like how this one goes together in that sense. You can see the head is just fading away to be a very, very thin foamy layer, and then it's got a nice kind of thick foamy ring around the edge of the glass there. So I really like how that's gone together. So yeah, nothing overly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is an Imperial Stout. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on with this one. Oh, that does come across very, very nicely. So, yeah, it's there's nothing that you wouldn't expect out of this, to be quite honest with you. You've got a nice little bit of a roasty, toasty, black malty note to it. It comes across with a little bit of that well-fired bread crust. There is a good little bit of a chocolatey note to this one. It tastes like, or it smells, sorry, like that kind of, you know, that sort of chocolate Nesquik type powder sort of thing. You know, the vanilla, the lactose that's in this one and the vanilla give you the impression of a bit of a milky chocolate, you know, a 30-40% cocoa chocolate. But at the same time, you've also got, yeah, at the same time, you've also got a little bit of darker chocolate in there, you know, a 70-80% cocoa chocolate, and that comes across very, very nicely as well. Actually, I really like how that goes together in this sense. So, yeah. It's a lovely smelling beer, this one. It's actually quite a sweet smelling Imperial Stout. It just has a little bit of a roasty toasty backbone to it, which I think is very nice. But yeah, mainly you do get a lot of that kind of, you do get quite a bit of the lactose and dextrose and things out of this one. You've got that, a bit of a well-fired bread crusty backbone to it, some sweet kind of chocolate in there, milky chocolate, darker chocolate as well. And yeah, there's a wee touch of brown sugar, I think, in this one as well. You do get a little bit. You do get quite a bit of a sweet caramel out of this one, and a more kind of McVitie's digestive toasty biscuit sort of thing. Yeah, this one I think is it is really quite interesting in that sense. Actually, I like how it goes together in a lot of ways. So yeah, the malt base in this one comes across really nicely. There's a few woody and nutty undertones to it, which, you know, quite often you are going to get with a big Imperial Stout like this. But yeah, overall, I'd say it comes across as quite a smooth stout. Initially, when I took in the aroma, at first it did come across as being a little bit more roasty and toasty, but otherwise, you know, it really comes across just pretty straight up in that sense. So yeah, pretty cool actually. So yeah, interesting aroma on the malty side of things. On the hoppy side of the beer, yeah, there is just a little bit of hoppiness. This one, a wee touch of earthy quality in there. A nice little bit of, I would say you get a wee tiny touch of a floral note out of this one, but quite kind of grassy. It almost has a little bit of that kind of sour component to it as well, actually. You know, like not sort of a sour thing, if that makes sense, like a pastry. You know, some of these sweet sours, you don't get so much hoppy character out of them, like, you know, these Berliner Weisses and Goses and things like that. You know, it's got a little bit of that. It almost gives the impression of not having hops in it to some degree, but it's, you know, they're definitely on the can there. Never come across a stout that doesn't have hops in it, come to think of it. That would be an interesting thing. Would it work? Because it certainly works with these Goses and these Berliner Weisses, so maybe a pastry stout could work in that sense as well. Yeah. But yeah, you get a little bit of grassiness out of this one. There is a good little bit of a fruity character to this beer as well, which I quite like. So there's a nice little bit. There is a nice little bit of how would you say, you get a nice little bit of a sharp raisiny note out of this one when you first take the aroma in. There's a good little bit of a kind of figgy, juicy quality to it as well, and also some nice blackberry, blackcurranty kind of juicy notes in there as well. So yeah, it's kind of got a fruity profile that you would expect, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, I think it has got a wee bit of that black, as I say, the more juicy blackcurrant, but then a more oily blackberry. Wee bit of a juicy fig, you get a bit of a raisiny sharpness to it, and maybe a wee bit of a kind of plummy quality in the background as well. So it's kind of got what you would expect of an Imperial Stout, to be quite honest with you. And the colour of this, as I say, this one is black as night. Remember, the colour of your beer is dependent on two things. One, the type of malts that you're using, and two, the length of the boil. The longer you boil the beer, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker coloured beer actually. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the taste of this, the flavour of this one then actually. Brain is really not working today, too tired. That's one of the reasons why my videos turn out so long, to be honest with you. Usually I'm tired when I film these things. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. This one is the Tartarus, an oaked Imperial Stout at 10.5% ABV from Alpha Delta Brewing in Newburn, near Newcastle in the northeast of England, in collaboration with North Brewing, who are from Leeds in Yorkshire. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, that is pretty nice actually. It's very, very smooth, easy drinking stout actually. Very easy to wrap your head around this one actually. It's very, very nicely done. It's very, very solid, I think. Yeah, to say, that's what I really like about this one. It's just it's the first thing that really strikes me about this is the level of smoothness that you get out of this one. I think yeah, this one, it doesn't strike me as the most kind of complex Imperial Stout that you're going to come across. It really is very kind of straight shooting in that sense, but it's well crafted. And I say this about IPAs often. It's not often I'll say it about Imperial Stouts, in fairness, but sometimes going for the taking the simple route and trying to do something well is exactly what is needed sometimes. And I find this beer just really solid and really straight shooting actually. I do wonder if what they've done with this is put oak chips in the fermenters, because it just has a little bit of that oaky note that comes out further in the aftertaste. So I would suspect that is what they've done with this beer. They've put a few oak chips in there just to give you a slight flavour, a slight oaky flavour rather than putting it in the barrels, and it works very nicely actually. Yeah, it really does go together very, very nicely in that sense, I have to say. This beer gets a thumbs up from me. I like this one. I dare say that this probably isn't the boldest and kind of craziest thing you're going to get from Alpha Delta, but I think it's definitely a nice introduction to them. In terms of it's just a solid, very straight up beer. That's my opinion on this one. It's very solid, it's very straight up, and I think this is the first stout that I've had from North Brewing. I would need to check that, but I'm pretty sure this is the first. It's, if not the first, it's definitely one of the first dark beers that I've had from North Brewing, and this kind of bodes well for them as well on that side of the spectrum. I always feel that to get a proper feel for a brewery, you have to have something from the light side of the spectrum and something from the dark end. But this is nice. It gets a thumbs up from me. Let's try and break down this flavour then and just see how we get on. So yeah, straight away with this beer, you can feel the base layer of this one. You can really feel that nice kind of smooth oaky quality. That blankets the middle of your palate, but it's got a little bit. The oak has a little bit of dryness to it, but on top of that, you can really feel the dextrose and the lactose really just giving you a very slick and slightly kind of almost creamy base to the beer. That's what you really feel with this one. This one's got a very, very kind of silky backbone to it, and a lot of the kind of feel, the flavour that you get out of this beer it's almost a little bit placebo, because the lactose and the dextrose and things like this, they are more for the mouthfeel. They don't, generally speaking, taste of all that much actually. But yeah, you really notice that they're there because of the mouthfeel, if that makes sense. So yeah, as I say, this isn't the most complex of beers by any stretch of the imagination. I think the oat chips, or what I suspect are oat chips, they really add a nice little bit of depth to it. You'll notice that towards the front of that middle third of your palate, that's where you're really going to notice the oaty, I keep saying oaty, the oaky part of the beer. But in the very centre of your palate, you can feel there is a bit of that thicker, smooth, oaty kind of thing coming out of it. You do start to get a wee bit of that sweeter, oaty note out of the beer. There's also, pardon me, a little bit of brown sugar in there as well, which I really quite like. So yeah, the flavour of this beer, it's very straight up in a lot of ways, but it's got a good little bit of complexity. You're also going to notice that the chocolate starts to push its way out a little bit more the further that you go into it. You've got some lovely, the chocolate in this one incidentally is it's overtly milk chocolate, and you can feel the sort of vanilla qualities in this beer just infused into that. So on top of that kind of lactosey, dextrosey area, you've got a nice kind of layer of smooth chocolate. You've got a good little bit of an oaty sweetness in this one, and then you start to get a wee bit of brown sugar just on the top of that as well, which is very, very nice. So I really like how that goes together. So yeah, the flavour profile of this one, I think it's very straight up. This is definitely not the most complex of stouts and things that you're going to come across, but it's just really well crafted, and you know, you can't knock it. You cannot knock this beer for that. Sometimes it is better to take that more simplistic route and just brew something that's straight up and tastes nice. And I think the oaky part of this beer really adds a little bit of depth to it. I really appreciate that about this beer, I have to say. So yeah, the kind of smooth base to the beer, like I was saying, the lactose and the dextrose, that rolls back towards the very back of your palate. You do get a wee bit of a roasty toasty black malty thing going further back, and you can feel the brown sugars actually kind of sit on top of that. The brown sugars actually spread back a little bit in this one. It almost does have a wee touch of a slightly like rye bready note there. If you go further into the back third of your palate, you do almost just get a little bit of that slightly German rye bready kind of flavour out of this one, which is quite interesting actually. But as I say, if you go to the very centre of your palate, then just move forward, you will get one or two little nutty elements to the beer, and you will also get a little bit of you will also get a few kind of woody elements coming out of this one as well. The further on that you go into the aftertaste too. So this beer, as I say, straight up, but there are one or two little complexities to it which come out nicely. So maybe I've contradicted myself there. That's what you end up doing that sometimes. Beers take a little bit of time to open up, and that's why I quite like doing a slightly longer tasting section for you. It's always the same with whiskey. Whiskey can take a little bit of time to open up a little bit. But yeah, the malty side of this beer, I think we've covered it quite in depth now. It comes across very, very nice, or we should say malt and adjunct, because this is an adjunct stout, I guess. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things, it's fairly straight up. Back corners of your palate, you have got a little tiny touch of earthiness there. As you move further forward, the earthiness does spread forward a little bit. It becomes a wee bit herbal. Then as you reach the front corners of the palate, it's just a tiny little bit of floral aromaticity, and then round the front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy. So yeah, the front third of your palate. This is quite an interesting one. So as I always say, on the front third of your palate, you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So when you go towards the back of that front third of your tongue, there is a wee bit of a kind of plummy note to it, a little bit of a kind of plummy, raisiny sort of thing. So you have a wee bit of sharpness in the beginning, but then it juicens out quite nicely. As you move further forward, it's got a little bit of a juicy kind of figgy thing, and then as you reach the front part of that front third of your tongue, then you get some nice, you do get a nice little bit of a black curranty and blackberry type flavour out of the beer. So yeah, I do like how that side of it that goes together. I mean, the fruit side for me, it is quite straight up. The figgy notes I think come out a little bit later, the further you go into the aftertaste. Then you've got the currants and the blackberry in there as well. It's really solid in that sense. As I say, this beer for me, it doesn't do anything, you know, madly surprising. It's just well crafted. That's how I would describe this one. I'm sure you'll get crazier stouts from Alpha Delta than this. Likewise with North Brewing, you will get crazier stouts from them than this one as well. But you know, it's an Imperial milk stout, I guess you could say, and it just works. It does work very, very nicely actually. I really like this one, and I've certainly enjoyed reviewing it for you. If you guys have watched the channel for any length of time, you'll know that I do love a good milk stout, and this one is quite a nice example actually. So yeah, thumbs up to both breweries involved in this one. And yeah, you do start. I do like the way the oakiness. I think the oaky qualities come out of this very nicely the further you go into the aftertaste. So yeah, on the mouthfeel side of things then, this is quite a full-bodied beer. I'd say it's kind of middle end of full-bodied. Carbonation is very, very smooth. It's really got a very, very big kind of silky sort of mouthfeel to it, in my opinion. Very low in terms of its hoppy bitterness. I think you'd be lucky to get about 20 IBUs out of this, to be quite honest with you. I'd be very surprised if it's more than that. The malt base and the adjuncts, very, very thick, smooth and silky. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, as you say, and it does have a wee touch of dryness from the woody side of the flavours that come out a little bit later. And you've also got some very nice, juicy, fruity characters to this one as well. So I really like how this one goes together in that sense. So yeah, really, really interesting beer, this one, as I say. Very thick, very silky. It's the kind of ideal Imperial milk stout, actually. You don't come across too many Imperial milk stouts these days. This one strikes me as if it's modelled, as if it's supposed to be what a traditional English milk stout is supposed to be, but then they've kind of taken it up and given it the American Imperial strength almost. I get the impression that's what the idea behind this beer was, but the oaky characters in this are very, very nice, I have to say. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Tartarus, an oaked Imperial Stout from Alpha Delta Brewing Company in Newburn, just to the north. I think it's to the north of Newcastle, I forget, but just close to Newcastle in the northeast of England, brewed in collaboration with North Brewing, who are from Leeds in Yorkshire. Kind of in the middle of England, to be honest with you. But yeah, interesting beer, this one, and I'm glad I was able to review this for you, and nice to introduce Alpha Delta on the channel for the first time as well. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Alpha Delta as well. We will return to these guys at some point soon. Likewise, let me know your favourite beers from North Brewing as well, and we will return to them as well. But thank you again for watching. Check out my social media, check out both of these breweries, have a go at this beer if you get the chance. Check out Rob Hopseed's review of this if you want something a little bit more concise. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. So until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, cheers, and I'll catch you later.